I don't think anyone's probably going to stop me from starting early, so that works for everybody. So come on up there. Just make sure everyone's ready.
Yeah, very good looking. I know I keep saying it, but he really is.
We're good? Good. All right, good afternoon, everyone. Chelan County Sheriff Mike Moprrison. Again, I want to thank everyone for coming here. We're coming full circle. We're looking about 4 months ago. We were just sitting here breaking the news about this tragic situation of the deaths of Peyton, Evelyn, and Olivia. And today I stand before you again with news that we have received our DNA results back from the Washington State Patrol's crime lab from the items that we recovered last week. That would be the clothing and also the human remains. We are glad to say that those remains do come back as a positive match for Travis Decker.
Can't you see the relief in his face? He just looks so much more relaxed because, you know, this has been a horrible case, and he's just saying 4 months of not knowing where this guy was, a guy who'd murdered his 3 children in their community. I mean, you know, to us, we're miles away from it. Doesn't affect us, does it really? You know, but you talk about 4 months, and this guy, for all they know, he's wandering around the community or trying to get hold, you know, go for Whitney and kill her next, the children's mother. You know, and this guy, he lives in that community. He's got children. And then all the police that had to find those children, the deceased, the way they were, with bags over their heads and their hands tied behind their back. I don't know if you could ever get over the trauma of coming across that scene. I know they're police officers, and, you know, they've probably trained in dealing with gruesome sights, etc. But I think not children, probably. You know, I think probably most people would agree that dealing with finding children murdered like that, 3 little children, just must have been the most distressing thing for them as well. So my heart goes out to them, as well as to Whitney and the family of the girls, the people that have had to deal with it. And then since then, of course, the pressure's all been on to find Travis. There's been false sightings. There's been, you know, they've took a lot of criticism from people. So I think you can visibly see the relief in this guy's face, that he's able to say that at least that part now of the investigation is closed. Travis is found. He's not roaming around. He's no longer a danger to people.
It's a big day for Chelan County Sheriff's Office, all of our federal partners, that we can finally bring a close to this dark chapter of Chelan County. Certainly pay respects to the deaths of Peyton, Evelyn, and Olivia. We wanted to show honor to them, let them know that we never forgot about them. We haven't forgot about their family. To Whitney, we apologize that it's taken this long to get the closeness and the closure that we are looking for in this case.
And so he's apologising to Whitney for it taking so long. I think that's why he's so attractive as well. It's not only because he is dishy, as you say, Angel. He is a dishy guy, of course he is. He's got that Richard Gere look. When Richard Gere was young, that's just what he looked like when he first became an actor in sort of American Gigolo and, you know, fantastic films that I remember, you know, because I'm old enough to remember. So not only because he's a handsome guy, he is a handsome guy, but he seems just so sweet. So it's not very often you get the combination of good looks and a nice, sensitive person. You know, he just seems, to me anyway, in just my opinion, and people might disagree with him, he says the right thing always, or a nice, you know, he's saying, apologising to Whitney for taking so long. And Whitney is the mother of the girls. He's just a little sweetheart, isn't he?
But I hope that you can rest easier at night, knowing that Travis is accounted for. He is deceased. Our DNA results confirm that, and this will bring a close to our case. I want to thank our detectives, our investigative unit, for the amount of time, effort, and just overall sacrifice that they put in.
He's also very gracious, like in the sense of he thanks that, you know, he's not all ego driven like sometimes. Oh, look, we've done brilliant, we've caught him, yeah, yeehaw, like this. He's very appreciative of all the people that have helped them. He always has a word for other people as well. He's too good to be true, isn't he? Now, this is very interesting because it's the first time this lady's been mentioned, Stacey. She's a forensic, he mentions her quite a lot in here. It seems to me like she's the one who solved this case, and he says that. So she's a forensic psychologist, and apparently this fourth search where they found Travis's remains, she gave her insight into where she thought, you know, she looked at the mapping and everything, and using her forensic psychologist skills, she told them where she thought that Travis might have headed for, and she was right. She was right, and that's where they found him. And on the fourth search, they had it was an area that they had not searched before. So it's not that they searched and missed him. They'd never, in the first 3 searches around that area of the campsite where the girls died, but this was just that little bit further up the mountain, Grindstone Mountain it's called. And she somehow, for whatever reason, she's, you know, considered Travis and considered the terrain, and she said, I think this is where he's headed for. And he was there. So she solved it. A woman has solved it.
Unfortunately, the circumstances.
Yeah, and also, you know, he's very gracious to Travis's family, because at the end of the day, Travis is a POS father. You know, he's murdered his children. But this guy, Sherrif Moprrison, he always has words to say for Travis's family. You know, because he's a son, a brother, etc. And people will be grieving Travis. You know, and trying to cope with the facts, trying to, you know, come to terms with what Travis did, won't they? So, yeah, he's a very sort of eloquent man, and it feels like he's an empathetic man, and I hope he's like that in real life as well, not just in his job. But yeah, and Joanne asking about those crowns on the chat. This is something that, for some unknown reason, YouTube has decided to do. So what they do, whoever says the most chat, it's like you get a 1 and a crown, or a 2 is the second most chatty person in the chat, you know. And it's just a YouTube thing, and there's nothing I can do about it. They've decided they're going to do it on everybody's channel. You know, it's a bit silly in my opinion, but anyway, that in their wisdom, YouTube are doing it. Yeah, so of course they were, as far as they knew, until they knew for sure that Travis was dead, they were hoping that they would get him, bring him in, bring him to justice. And so they were preparing for a trial, really, weren't they? So they didn't know for certain. Well, they didn't know if he was dead or alive, did they? So they had to prepare for a trial. They were hopeful that they would bring him in alive. It's a shame they haven't been able to find him alive, because, you know, you'd like to see him be brought to justice. But as I say, he will be being brought to justice, but a different kind, another worldly justice, I'm sure. But we won't get to see him brought to justice on this planet, in this crazy world. But or get him, you know, we'll never hear him explain why he did this horrible thing, you know. I don't know if they found any notes or anything. So whatever, all the circumstances will come out, or at least the circumstances that they can work out as time goes on. Yeah, you know, I do like this, you know, so many press conferences you see. One particular one recently was when they caught the killer of Charlie Kirk. You know, that bloody FBI guy, Cash, whatever his name is, all just congratulating themselves. You know, like it's all their ego. Oh, yeah, you know, look what we've done. We've caught this guy. But, you know, when actually that particular guy was handed in by his family, of course, as well, the Charlie Kirk's killer. So, you know, really it wasn't them that caught him, you know, they would have probably caught him in the end, but the reason he was caught as quickly as he was because his family dobbed him in, you know. So all this ego and backslapping and congratulating. What I like about this is you're not seeing that here. They're thanking each other. You know, the marshal's office of thanking the FBI or thanking the sheriff's thanking them. They're all thanking the community for the help from the community. It's a completely different way of looking at things, isn't it? Community. Not like, oh, yeah, I'm better than you are, like I'm brilliant and, you know, clapping yourself on the back. So I do like the whole thing, the way they've the remains. So it sounds like animals of, you know, poor Travis. I mean, that's the first time I've ever said poor Travis because, you know, what I think of him, I sort of hate him really for what he did to those girls. But it's not nice to think of somebody being scattered like that, somebody's remains. But having said that, he did it to himself. Those girls didn't get a choice. He left them there as well, you know. I mean, it could have happened to them. It could have happened to them. They could have been scattered by animals. He just left them there, you know, like discarded in the national park, you know, suffocated, hands tied behind the back. You know, horrible. Yeah, so take that back. I don't mean poor Travis. He's a twonk.
Again, we will.
Yeah, so they're working on the assumption. As you know, I did think that right from the beginning. He probably on that very same day that he killed the girls went and did something to himself up in the mountain. Why he went up into the mountain, I don't know. That forensic psychiatrist, she worked out that place for so there'll be a thought process, and she's an expert. She'll know why she thought that he probably would have gone up to the mountain. I don't know, but maybe it's a place he used to like to go to. Maybe, you know, who knows? Well, that will be forthcoming. But yeah, I think it's likely that he did whatever he did to those girls, and then he was straight off up the mountain to do something to himself. Maybe it was a favourite place of his. Well, yeah, I hope we get to know about that sometime, because he said that forensic psychologist also said more or less the elevation that he might be at on that mountain. You know, there's more here. Now, remember they found bloodstains, didn't they, on the back of the truck? You know, I wonder if he had maybe, I don't know, cut himself or done something to himself and then just walked off into the mountain and then just walked as long as he could until he collapsed and succumbed to his injuries. That's a possibility, isn't it? No firearm was found at the scene. So just to remind ourselves of that, in another press conference when the guys that were searching, there was a representative from them on, he said no firearm was found at the scene. So he did not shoot himself, that's for sure. So whether he hurt himself down at the... Anyway, hopefully all this will come out, because, you know, we like to know the details, don't we? We want to know what happened. There were quite a few, well, there were two at least that I know of false sightings. But yeah, people with the best will in the world thinking that they'd seen Travis Decker around and about, and that takes resources that they haven't got really. He makes that quite clear that this whole operation has cost a lot of money. But he's, you know, he's got the resources. He's badgered for them. He was determined to resolve this case, and he's done it. Good for him. He might not want to stoke his own ego, but we'll do it for him.
Yes.
He's so good, isn't he? Because, yeah, you would need to, because, of course, as soon as the marshals closed the case and said, oh, they were happy with the DNA from the clothes, people are going to be saying, oh, well, how do they know it's not just somebody's just left those clothes there but it could be another person's body, you know, all that. So he's good. He's shutting down the conspiracy theories. This is what happened. And this horrible dad murdered his children for whatever reason, and went off, either took his own life or died. Nobody else is involved. That's it. No more conspiracy theory. Ugh. Lovely guy, lovely guy. If only all sheriffs were like that. You know, I know, as we've talked about before, the police aren't perfect, are they? Law enforcement in any country are not perfect, but they're not all horrible either. So, you know, it's it's sort of a good feeling. Obviously, as it says, it doesn't bring those lovely girls back, but it's still a good feeling to know that there's some resolution. Whitney, I don't know how Whitney's going to cope, the mother of these girls, to lose all your three children, all just like that in an instant. And not only that, in the way that she's lost them. But at least now she doesn't have to worry about, I've been having nightmares about bloody Travis going back to get Whitney. So God knows how she's been feeling. You know, as long as it was thought he was out there somewhere and nobody knew where he was, it was always scary, wasn't it? You know, I say I'm miles away from it, and I found it scary. So actually being there in that community, not only for Whitney but the rest of the community, not knowing if Travis Decker was going to come knocking on your door one night, you know, how terrifying. So